Hello, welcome to Kubernetes Deployment Series Part 26. In this series, we are going to learn how to deploy microservices into cluster using Helm Chart and Flux. We have already discussed it in our previous lesson how we can use Helm Chart to deploy microservices using Flux, but we only used a single Helm Chart that includes multiple services, I mean manifest for multiple services. But today we'll focus how we can use separately multiple Helm charts for each of the services. So if you come and see this in the VS Code, we can see uh, in our previous lesson, if you can see here, I have included a Helm release. So just to remind, we have used Helm release for deploying the Helm chart, and we have kept the Helm chart in the Git repository, not in the Helm repository. So we'll learn how we can keep our Helm charts in the Helm repository, and our Flux will refer that from there. But for today's lesson, and also in our previous lesson, we just kept the Helm chart in the local Git repository. So so here we have not used Helm repository, and only using Helm release we try to deploy the microservices. So if we see in our previous lesson, this is our Helm chart, and it includes the manifest for all of the services that we are going to deploy. And for that, I have included a Helm release, and this is under the uh, cluster, demo cluster folder, where the Flux will monitor for any changes. Okay, and this Helm release basically defined the path of the Helm chart and in which repository it belong, and if any values that we are going to override, because if you see in the Helm chart we have our values.yaml, and if you want to override anything we have to include in the Helm release itself. Okay, but today we are going to learn how we can deploy multiple Helm charts for each of the services separately. So for that, what we need to do is we need to create separate 5 Helm releases, because we have here 5 different uh, Kubernetes objects, one config map, and there are other 4 services. So for each of these, we have to create a Helm release. Okay. Okay. Now we need the cluster for that. So I have already created just before the cluster, and you can see we have this. I have this. Okay, so you can see here this is the cluster, and if I'll display get node, okay, let me just get the node. Okay, you can see I have this node where our cluster basically running. So you can see uh, the cluster is ready. Now let's create few of the um, namespaces. Okay, okay, create namespace dev, sorry, dev. Then let me create then a test also, and one for prod. So I have created 3 different namespaces. Okay, you can see, okay, get ns. You can see here this dev, prod, and test namespaces are available, and we have um, the Flux system is not still created because we need to do the bootstrapping. Okay, so next step we will do the bootstrapping. For that, we need to export these 3 variable. Okay, let me get this from here. Okay, just I'll include this variable here. Now let bootstrap it. So nothing to explain here. I have already explained what the functions it does and what are the components it will create. So it will take a few minutes to create this, mm, bootstrap this Flux CD, and it will associate the Flux CD with the repository, and it will create the related components, and also it will create a folder here, that is cluster, with the name of clusters demo cluster, and under this demo cluster we need to put our customize and the Helm release YAML files, and the Flux will keep monitoring that file for any changes that it will going to reconcile. Okay, Now, since we have 5 different uh, uh, Kubernetes objects here, so in this case, I need to create 5 uh, Helm release. So I just pulled the Git repository. You can see here it got created one cluster folder under that demo cluster, and you can see here it is like under Flux system. It will automatically connect to the repository here, and this is the path it is going to monitor. Okay, so that's all. And here is the customization. It is include these two, and these two it will just monitor. And under this demo cluster we can put our own Helm release YAML files. Okay, so for that let me go to this one. So I have already created this files here. So let me just copy this in my, okay, copy to my repository here. This is the new folder it got created, and under this I'll just copy this. Now you can see here, not this, here I have just added this pipe Helm release. Okay, and it is same like that previous session we have discussed. Here we are using namespace dev, but in previously we have just used default one. Just here in this case I am going to demonstrate how we can deploy into multiple environment as well. That's why I just create different namespaces. So you can see here this will deploy the config map. Okay, and I have just mentioned the path chart path is multi Helm chart config. You can see this is our Helm chart, and it contains multiple Helm charts here. Okay, and each has its own values.yaml defined here. Okay, so we just mentioned the path, and it is available in the Git repository, that Flux system. Okay, the name is Flux system, that we have it is already created here under this repository. Okay, you can see this name is Flux system. So I mean it will point to this repository itself. Okay, so similarly for order, we just check if the name is order, and namespace, so I just mentioned dev, and same repository. And here I have added few values.yaml. Okay, for config I have not added any values information here. So but you can add if you have any requirement. You can add any values to override. Similarly, this is for product, and here I have just added these values. We can add anything depending upon how it is there in your respective service values.yaml. Okay, you can override anything of this in the product and Helm release. Okay, here we can add. So I have already done this. So now uh, with these changes, if you want to check in this, okay, update to, I mean to repository, then it will reconcile automatically. But before that, let me also change this time to 1 minute. Okay, now just update it. Okay, seeing this. So let us watch how it is reconciling. We can see use this Flux get customization to watch the reconciliation. It will take a couple of minutes to do this. In another one, let me just check from the event moment. Let's check if any pods are there. No. Okay, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes to see. Okay, so you can see this 26 demo cluster. Okay, under this we have this file log system. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, it will take some time here. Let's check one more time. Okay, now it is started creating the pods in dev environment. Let's check in test. Not yet. Okay, so it will not create for test because we have not added this Helm release for test environment. So what we have done is only we have added this release for dev environment. So these are all belongs to the dev environment. Okay, so that's why we it is only created for the dev environment here. Okay, still it is creating the containers and try to trying to create these pods. Okay, so here you can see that there are in order it is creating two because that is because I have mentioned in this values dot sorry, in the values part of this Helm release the replica count as two. Okay, that's why it is as two, but for others it is mentioned one. In product it is one here. Okay, rabbit message queue, yeah, it is also one, and storefront also it is one. That's why it is making uh, creating one pod for each of these services. Okay, if you want to check whether it's reconciling properly or not, then you can just to check it, make it two, for example. For rabbit message you also make two, and for this also make two. Okay, so we'll just do a reconciliation using this. So just wait a minute, again we'll see how it is reconciling. It should create two pod for each of the service. Okay, still order has two, and product, so product rabbit message queue and storefront has only one pod for each of the services. Okay, so next what we want to do is let it take some time. We'll see it. The next step what we want to do is here I want to make and deploy into multiple environments. So this is belongs to the dev environment. What I can do is let create a folder dev and move all these things to the dev environment dev folder here, and let me just copy this and rename these two as this is for test and this is for prod. Okay, so what I did is simply I kept all these Helm releases what are I'm using the namespace for dev, right? So into the dev folder, and here for prod, let me just make it prod here. Let will deploy into the prod environment here. So what I have to do is I'll have to change this prod. Okay, then this is also prod. Let everything will be same. Okay, and if we go to test here, and this also will make it test, and let me modify to the other releases. Okay, so this change I have done here. Okay, so yeah, this is fine. I have to change, yeah, correct. This is prod namespace, and okay, so what I have done is I have created multiple Helm releases with respect to the dev, prod, and test environment, and here I have just mentioned the name of the namespace. Okay, so this all I just included under this cluster demo cluster. So this mostly this Flux CD is monitoring this uh, um, Helm release file. Okay, now in order to distinguish it, let do one thing. Let the order make it 2 here, but in case of test, let the order, I'll just make it 4. Okay, and for prod, make it 6. Okay, so I have not pushed to it, these changes I have not pushed into the repository yet, so it will not reconcile. Let me check whether it updated. You can see here for each of the service it created two pods for each of the services because we have already mentioned here, right? 2, and here 2, here 2, and everywhere it is 2. Okay, so let me again make it back to 1 like other environment. This only I'm just doing for only to demonstrate how the reconciling is working and how these changes, I mean, we can do in our values.yaml file itself or in the Helm release. If we can go, we can change here as well. For example, if we want to change anything here, right, that we can do also. Okay, it will reflect the change. Okay, now what we can do with these changes, let me do uh, update it and commit and push into the repository. Okay, let me sync it. Then within few minutes we'll see if you see now in test environment, right, there is no resources available. In prod also we cannot find anything, but after some time it will create the pods under this namespace as well. And if you want to view the changes, reconciling changes, then just use this, how it is doing the reconciliation we can see. Okay, here one thing in changes required, namespace. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, let wait few minutes. So till now we learn uh, how we can deploy microservices using Helm chart, um, keeping all the services in a single Helm chart, or we can keep different Helm chart for different services. And all these Helm charts we just kept in the Git repo, and later we'll see how we can keep the Helm chart in the Helm repository, and we'll use the component Flux cd component Helm repository for monitoring the Helm release, the Helm repository, and do the reconciliation. And one more thing that we also do this by how we can use customize. So here I've just added 3 different pod, test, and dev and dev, prod, and test Helm releases separately. So, but how we can use customize to do this to deploy into multiple environment, that we'll see, because here there is some code duplication. Okay, you can see this Helm release we are repeating for same thing we are repeating for dev, prod, and test environment. Okay, so that we can avoid using customize. So we'll learn how we can do that, because here if you see, it is only using the folder and the templates and the values.ml. But when we use customize, we'll add the base folder, and under that we'll add the overlays folder, and using that we will try to deploy into multiple environments. Okay, so that in that case we can the our code will be not repeated. Okay, and here also we should not include multiple Helm releases. So in the next lab we'll see how we can do that. Now let me just check if any it is got created for the other environments. Let's okay. Okay, okay, get pod we have to mention here. You can see here now we are able to see the pods are created for the test environment, and you can see here it created 4 for the order service, and 2 for each other services. So we can see on test, right, for the order there is 4, but for product it is mentioned 2 here. Rabbit message queue is 2, and storefront it is 2. Okay, so that way it shows here. Now let me just check for prod. If you see here for order, it shows 6. If now I can see here, there are 6 pods it shows. Okay, for others it shows 2 as I think it will be 2 for each other services. Okay, yeah. So that's all. I mean, we learn how we can use separate Helm chart for individual services, and how keeping those services in our repository that can be monitored by the Flux CD to reconcile and deploy into multiple environments. So you can simply add your own environment here. Okay. If you have multiple namespaces and you want to deploy into different namespace as a different environment, then you can just add here. Okay, and just mention the uh, change the namespace here. Okay, in this Helm release. Okay, so that's all about this session. um, Thank you so much for viewing this. We'll see how we can use Helm chart and customization both together to deploy the microservices into multiple environments, and keeping the uh, Helm chart itself in the Git repos. Okay, so thank you so much. Please like the video and share it and subscribe it.